Alright, so Invincible Versus just dropped on May 1st, 2026, and if you've already jumped into matches, you've probably noticed something. Not every character is built the same. The game launched with 18 fighters, and yeah, some of them are already dominating the meta. Right now, names like Omni-Man, Battle Beast, and Duplicate are sitting comfortably at the top, while characters like Robot and Powerplex are, let's just say, they're having a much harder time keeping up. But here's the thing, this is a 3 versus 3 tag fighter, so it's not just about how strong one character is on their own, it's about how well they fit into a team. And before anyone starts arguing in the comments, keep in mind this is day 1 meta territory. The game is brand new, and things are going to change fast once players really start labbing combos, discovering tech, and optimizing team synergies. So don't treat this like the final word, it's more like a snapshot of what's working right now. Still, if you're trying to win more games early and build a solid team, knowing which characters are pulling their weight is the best place to start. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Invincible Versus. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Robot. You ever pick a character and immediately feel like the game itself is judging your life choices? Yeah. That's exactly the vibe with Robot right now. Robot is sitting all alone in D tier, and it's not hard to see why once you get a few matches in. His moveset constantly pushes him too far away from the opponent, which sounds safe in theory, but ends up killing your pressure completely. On top of that, his movement just feels awkward and stiff, like you're always a step behind where you actually want to be. And here's the real kicker. He's the only character in the game built as a fully balanced type in both roles. That might sound flexible, but in a game where everyone else leans into strong, defined strengths, being okay at everything just means you're not great at anything. Now, to be fair, in the hands of a skilled player, Robot can still get some work done. You can make the spacing matter, you can outplay people, and you can definitely steal some wins, but it never feels easy or natural. It feels like you're constantly trying to outsmart the game itself instead of flowing with it. While other characters are out here playing to their strengths, Robot players are basically writing a survival guide mid-match, and honestly, unless you really enjoy that uphill battle, there are just way better options on the roster right now. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Cecil, Titan, and Powerplex. C tier is where things start to get interesting. Not bad enough to completely avoid, but definitely not strong enough to trust without thinking twice. Let's start with Cecil. He's a ranged specialist, and when someone really knows what they're doing, he can be incredibly annoying to deal with. He's got multiple tools to keep you at a distance, constantly poking, constantly resetting the fight, and just refusing to let you play your game. Even if you finally manage to get in close, he's not helpless. He can create space again pretty quickly and push you right back out. But here's the catch with Cecil. That potential doesn't just come for free. You actually have to work for it. His skill ceiling is definitely there, but reaching it takes good positioning, solid timing, and a lot of awareness. In the wrong hands, he just feels like he's delaying the inevitable instead of controlling the match. Now Titan is a completely different story. He's your classic close-range tank, built to take hits and dish them back even harder. And when he connects, you feel it. The damage is real, and he can absolutely punish mistakes if you're not careful. The problem is getting to that point. Titan's movement is slow, and in a game where mobility matters this much, that's a huge disadvantage. Closing the gap feels like a full-time job, and most characters on the roster won't just sit there and let it happen. By the time Titan finally gets in range, there's a good chance he's already been chipped down or caught in a combo. Then there's Powerplex, who kind of sits awkwardly in between roles. He needs to be up close for several of his key moves, but he also has some ranged options to work with when he's at a distance. On paper, that sounds flexible, but in practice, it feels a bit unfocused. At launch, nothing in Powerplex's kit really jumps out as a defining strength. He doesn't dominate up close, and he doesn't control space well enough from afar to compensate. That said, there's a chance he's hiding more depth than we're seeing right now. With more time, lab work, and player experimentation, he could climb higher, but for now, he's firmly stuck in that maybe later category. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Anissa, Rexplode, Elemental, Bulletproof, and Monster Girl. B tier is that sweet spot where characters start to feel reliable, but still have just enough flaws to keep them out of the spotlight. These are the fighters you pick when you want solid performance, without the pressure of carrying the entire meta on your back. Anissa is a great example of that slow burn character. At first, she might not immediately click, but once you spend some time with her, things start to fall into place. Her speed is a huge advantage, and her ability to close gaps quickly makes her a constant threat, especially against players who rely too much on spacing. What really makes Anissa stand out though is her special attacks. They have a high skill ceiling, which means there's a lot of room to improve and optimize over time. Her dodge in particular feels incredibly satisfying to pull off when you get the timing right. She's not a pick up and win character, but if you invest in her, she absolutely gives that effort back. Then you've got Rexplode, who just feels good the moment you start playing him. Everything about his kit flows nicely. He's quick, responsive, and blends ranged and close combat in a way that feels natural rather than forced. You're never really stuck doing one thing. He moves around the stage comfortably, which makes him easy to control in chaotic fights, but he's not without weaknesses. His biggest issue is how vulnerable he becomes in the air. Against experienced players, that's basically an invitation to get punished hard, so you really have to be careful about when you leave the ground. Elemental is one of the more interesting additions since she's an original character created specifically for Invincible versus not pulled from the comics or the show. And honestly, she holds her own surprisingly well against the established roster. She controls elements like fire and water, throwing out fireballs and water-based projectiles from a distance, while still being capable in close-range situations. That balance makes her versatile, but it also means there's a lot to master. Her high skill ceiling suggests she could climb higher in the rankings as players figure her out and the meta evolves. Bulletproof, on the other hand, feels a bit like he's coming down from a previous high. He was noticeably stronger during the beta, but for launch, he's been toned down quite a bit. You can feel that difference if you've played him before. He's still a solid pick, especially for beginners. His attacks are quick, and he has some nice air juggling potential that can catch people off guard. But compared to others in this tier, his kit feels more basic, and he doesn't have as many standout tools to really push him further up. And then there's Monster Girl, who brings a completely different energy to B tier. She's slow, no question about it, and that alone will turn some players away immediately, but if you stick with her, she makes up for that lack of speed with fast, heavy-hitting attacks once she's in range, along with reliable combo potential. She's not a universal fit for every team, but if you need a durable frontliner who can take hits and still dish out serious damage, she fills that role better than most. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Conquest, Atomeve, Fula, Lucan, Alan the Alien, and Invincible. A tier is where you stop asking, is this character good? And start asking, why isn't this character in S tier? These fighters are strong, consistent, and in the right hands, they can absolutely take over games. Conquest is right on that edge. He sits just below S tier, and honestly, you could argue he belongs there on a good day. He's fast, he hits hard, and he plays very similarly to Battle Beast and Omni-Man, which already tells you a lot about his power level. The only reason he doesn't quite make that top cut is simple. Those two just do the same job a little bit better. It's not that Conquest is lacking, it's just that he's competing with the absolute best at their own game. Even so, he's still an easy pick for almost any team. Atomeve is a completely different story. She's hands down the best zoner in the game right now, and if you like controlling space and frustrating your opponent, she's basically your dream character. Up close though, things get a bit shaky. That's her main weakness, and good players will try to exploit it. But if you keep your distance, her ranged attacks combined with her ability to juggle opponents in the air using her hover make her incredibly hard to deal with. She's definitely a specialist pick. You don't just throw her into any team and hope for the best, but if your other two fighters can cover her close range weakness, she becomes a nightmare that opponents have to constantly respect. Then there's Fula, who feels like one of those characters people are sleeping on right now. At first glance, she might not look overwhelming, but once you understand how her kit flows, things start to get scary. She can pull opponents in with her medium attack and immediately convert that into aerial combos. And if a player really masters her timing and sequences, it can feel like you're stuck in a loop you just can't escape from. She has all the signs of a character that's going to rise in the rankings. Lucan is another interesting case. He comes in with grapple attacks and quick strikes, but visually, he gives off this slower, heavier impression that doesn't fully match how he actually plays. If you've seen him in story mode, you already know he hits harder than he looks, and that carries straight into online matches. He can catch people off guard simply because they underestimate how fast and aggressive he can really be. Alan the Alien is someone players already respect, especially if they were around during the beta. He was a top pick back then, and even after release, he's still holding strong. He controls space well, keeps constant pressure on opponents, and has a solid mix of grappling and air combo options. That versatility makes him incredibly easy to fit into different team compositions without feeling like you're forcing it. And finally, there's Invincible himself. Sometimes you don't need anything flashy, you just need someone who works, and he absolutely does. He's a reliable all-rounder with fast gap closing and consistent combo potential. That makes him especially great for players who are still getting used to the roster. He might not dominate in a single category, but he doesn't really have to. He just gets the job done, and sometimes that's exactly what you need. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Omni-Man, Battle Beast, and Dupli-Kate. S tier is where the game stops being fair and starts being a little bit personal. Omni-Man is the name you're going to hear over and over again, and for good reason. He's the clear top pick right now. He hits incredibly hard, moves smoothly across the stage, and sits in that perfect sweet spot between raw power and mobility. Nothing about him feels limiting, which is exactly why he's so dominant. What makes Omni-Man even more dangerous is how accessible he is. You can pick him up and start doing well almost immediately, but if you actually put time into mastering him, he just keeps getting better. That kind of scaling is scary, and when you pair him with characters like Battle Beast or Dupli-Kate, you end up with a team core that can handle almost any situation the game throws at you. Then there's Battle Beast, and yeah, this is the character people are genuinely afraid of. He's a bit slower than Omni-Man, sure, but the moment he lands a clean hit, you feel it. His damage output is absolutely brutal if you know how to connect his moves properly. He was already dominating during pre-release testing, and nothing really changed when the game fully launched. He can close distance faster than you'd expect for his size, and once he gets going, his aerial combo chains can completely dismantle unprepared opponents. If you don't respect him, you're not finishing that round. And finally, Dupli-Kate brings pure speed into S tier. She's the kind of character that doesn't give you time to think. Her combo potential is insane, and her mix-up game constantly forces you to guess what's coming next. She rewards aggressive play more than almost anyone else on the roster. In the right hands, she doesn't just win fights, she overwhelms entire teams before they even have a chance to stabilize. If Omni-Man is the balance king and Battle Beast is the raw power monsters, Dupli-Kate is the chaos you simply can't keep up with. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.